this short video is going to be about what the most important form of intelligence is going to be during any residency or fellowship training. And the reason I think I can talk a little bit about this is, well, in part due to personal experience and in part due to having lived through residency in 2 different continents. So I'm starting my year number 8 in life during residency, of course, in 2 different continents. Now I'm going to complete fellowship in a different place. So all of these are going to be very enriching life experiences. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So the most important intelligence someone needs in residency is not what you expect. You will probably expected me to tell you to go devour question bank after question bank, and that's not it. Initially, I thought that was the most important, but it's not the most important. The most important is emotional intelligence. Single-handedly, the most important one. Why? Because you can be an incredibly smart individual. You can know all the guidelines. You can have the answers to all the questions. And if you don't have emotional intelligence, you won't get nowhere. Like, you maybe might get accepted to even getting accepted into a residency program might be tough, and you might even not match. You can have the best scores out there, but if you're in interview season and you don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to understand that all the people here deserve attention, right? All your peers during interview season deserve to speak. They deserve to share their opinions. They deserve to also be paid attention to. So if you get to interview season and you're just saturating everyone with your knowledge, questions, or whatever, people won't like you, and they will be like, this person can have the best grades, but I just don't want to work with them. I don't want to get this person on my team. There's the other side of it. You can also be the smartest person, have a 260 plus on step 1, 260 plus on 2CK, 260 plus on step 3. And if you're in interview season and you don't participate, you have absolutely nothing to say, you're just waiting, sitting there to be called upon and finally say something, you're also probably going to have a hard time. So you're going to have a really hard time getting matched because people will be like, well, yeah, you're incredible, you have the best grades, but we don't want a robot. We want a human being with feelings, with empathy, that will be able to speak to the patient, that will be able to try to improve surroundings, teamwork, and not someone who is so introverted that we don't know exactly if they will be fit for the program, right? So that's just an example. During interview season, I'm just showing you that from the start, things are problematic if you have no emotional intelligence or little emotional intelligence. Okay, so what if you have a whole lot of emotional intelligence and you don't have you're not bright, you get the lowest scores, you failed step 1 once, twice, you failed step 2 CK once, twice. Well, you're also going to have very low probability of getting matched somewhere. But I would say that, yeah, probably the extremes on both ends are going to be pretty bad, of course. But I would say that a little bit of IQ, a little bit of knowledge, right? Or what we usually know as intelligence, just being smart, knowing answers to clinical questions, for example, getting good grades on a test, just a little bit of that, you can barely pass step 1, you can barely pass step 2 CK, you can barely have passed all these tests. If you have a lot of emotional intelligence, you can definitely compensate that way better than, now let's put it the other way around, which is having a minimal emotional intelligence. So you're going to have minimal emotional intelligence here, and you're going to do rather well, not incredible, but rather well on tests. That's going to be worse for you, because at the end of the day, what I want to get to is that also all types of intelligence are, of course, important, and the more you have of each is going to be the better for you. But the main point of this video is that emotional intelligence is usually forgotten. Usually no one tells you, not even your mentor tells you, hey, think about your emotional intelligence. Think about how you will react if things go south during your interview. Think about how you will react if you get a very tough question during an interview, you don't have an answer, or those sort of things, right? So emotional intelligence is extremely important. I've learned this throughout my entire career, and the more I advance in this, the clearer I am about it. So I've had different experiences, and I'll tell you one specifically where I was shadowing. I was shadowing U.S. clinical experience in one hospital in Minnesota, and I really wanted to be interviewed in this internal medicine program in Minnesota, and I overdid it. I stayed in the hospital, like people left around 6 p.m. I stayed till 9:30 p.m. most days. Why? Because I was making a lecture, I was reading, I was preparing for the next day, reading in advance, all those things. So I was very well prepared. The next day, when I had to rotate, I had the answers to the questions. I was able to participate in almost all of the morning reports. I even asked if I could present a morning report. They let me present it. I presented it. It went well. Actually, I think I have it on my YouTube channel. But what happened? I overdid it. So I was missing a little bit of emotional intelligence to make sure to balance things out, to understand that everything in life is a balance. Even doing way too much might be perceived incorrectly. And what I didn't understand in the past is that being too making or doing too much would be perceived wrong or the bad way. It does. So everything is a balance. So I overdid it over there, and what happened is that on one occasion we were on a morning report, and they were talking about pulmonary hypertension, and I remembered all my training in Costa Rica, how to measure pulmonary artery pressure, different ways through echo, different ways through this. I had everything real fresh here. At the end of the talk, someone was asking in the audience, so how would you measure the pulmonary artery pressure? And no one had an answer. These people weren't specialized in cardiology. And I raised my hand and I said, well, you can measure it. These are 3 different ways you can measure it on echo. Boom, boom, boom. And then I participated in, and right after someone else in the audience spoke about something specific in pulmonary hypertension, I'm like, that is a very good point. And also remember that this and this, and everyone heard it through. And then we left. And I can trace the exact moment why I didn't get an interview for internal medicine in that program to that specific moment. Why was it? It was because basically the program director from that hospital told me, Charles, I'm not sure if you would be a good fit for our program, because basically told me we don't have much to teach. Like we are looking for people that we have things to teach, and you probably don't have much to learn from here. And yeah, that was it. And I was looking for my fighting chance. I really wanted to match in the US somewhere. So that was my opportunity, which I blew it because I made too much. I should have moderated myself a little bit. I should have been a little bit more emotionally intelligent. I should have seen nonverbal communication cues a little better. So maybe in the pulmonary hypertension talk, yes, I could have said one thing real subtle, right? No need to say there's 3 different ways, this and that. I thought people would be like, oh, this is cool. This isn't, to a certain extent, right? Because you might be also activating people in a negative way. Yeah, so I won't probably describe that much more, but you understand what happens when you might outshine the master. So that's rule number 1 in a book called 48 Rules of Power. Law number 1 is never outshine the master. So you want to make sure you don't do these things in life. You want to make sure there's a fine balance. You don't want to overdo it, and you definitely don't want to underdo it, right? Most people usually underdo it because most people are not going to be prepared, and that's the usual story. Oh, I should have done more. I could have done more. Well, understand that you can also overdo it. So don't get to that level. This is just one example. And yeah, in the future, emotional intelligence is so important. I think that in the future, I'll write a book about it because I've learned so many things. You can see my YouTube channel. I've shared a couple lectures, which are part of this. I can make maybe a psychology series eventually, but that's my recommendation to you. And I think point made, right? See you in the next one.